Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the Hardy Realty Show podcast. I am Roger Manus with Rome Business Radio, and we are joined from Hardy Realty by Chris Kerr as we broadcast from the Hardy Realty Studios here on Rome Business Radio. Thanks for all you guys do, Chris, over at Hardy to help support Rome Business Radio across all of our shows by sponsoring the studio, but this is the Hardy Realty Show specifically. Chris, how are you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. And as always on the Hardy Realty Show, we use our time here to talk about great things going on in the community, great organizations. And we are joined via telephone by Wanda Whitten. Hi, Wanda. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks, Roger.
We thank you so much for joining us. Wanda, of course, is the front person and very active in the Heart of the Community organization. And for Wanda, for those who may not know what the Heart of the Community organization is, could you just please explain it to us, please, ma'am?
Be glad to, Roger. The Heart of the Community was begun 35 years ago with the intent the main mission was to recognize people in the community for their community service and to also carry on projects that were heart-related or humanitarian-related. So we've been doing that for 35 years. We've probably recognized over 250 people for their service to the community, and then we've given numerous amounts of money and grant applications and donations back to different charities in Rome and Floyd County.
So it is both literal and figurative when it comes to the heart. It's literal heart health care, but it's also figurative, correct? It's people using their heart and their care and their compassion to do things in the community, correct?
That's correct. And the influence that some of these people have on other people is amazing. You know, people will say, well, I could do that. I think I'll start doing that. So, some of the projects are very, very large, and some of them are just very heart-related, the emotional part of heart-related. So we're very proud of what we've accomplished and continue to do. And as you mentioned, and we'll talk about a little bit more, we do have a big event coming up. Of course, it's kind of a modified event based on what we've been going through for the last year and 2 months. But we hope it's going to be successful.
Well, we will touch on that here in a few minutes. But first, if you could just give me a little bit of a history of the organization itself. What got it started? How did you get involved? Things like that.
Okay. 35 years ago, Mike McDougall and Lita McDougall approached Paul Rutledge, who was our present administrator, about offering a program that would recognize service in the community. So that's when it began. The first events were held at the Coosa Country Club for several years, and then we outgrew that. And now, more recently, we've been at the Forum, and now we're just kind of up in the air based on what's going on. But hopefully in 2022, things will be back to whatever we remember normal was, and we'll be able to offer that again. So it's been a long-going, successful project. My involvement, when I came to Rome, I was the director of food service at Redmond for many years. And then our company, HCA, decided to bring in some, like Marriott and some of the big companies to do managing food service. So having been there a while, they've kept me doing other and various things. But the Heart of the Community, I probably have been involved with probably for about 15 or 16 years. And I'm really kind of I don't have voting rights. I'm the liaison between the hospital and the Heart of the Community Board.
I got you. Quick side note, I actually worked for the McDougalls one summer back in the 80s.
Did you?
I did.
Yeah.
And
Mike was one of our former recipients. I don't remember what year, but he was one of our recipients one year for the things he had done in the community.
Yeah, I had a part-time weekend job babysitting American Top 40, the Casey Kasem show. I would put in the commercials here locally as a part-time job while I was in college, working for the McDougalls. Okay. And Chris, I know there was a little bit of trivia about Wanda that you wanted to make sure got mentioned.
Oh, well, I just thought it was funny when we were given the little rundown about Wanda and her involvement, that I just like to point out that she's the only person I've ever met that has a building named after her while they're still alive. So I just thought that says a lot about Wanda and how much she's put into the community and the respect that she has from Redmond Hospital.
So Wanda, I think the building got named after you 4 or 5 years ago, but specifically,
it's been 5 years, I believe, and it basically is. It's now called the Heart House. When we first did it, I wanted it to just be called a guest house because it was not necessarily just for heart-related families, but it's basically it's like a Ronald McDonald House. It's available to people who live outside the community, who have people who are critically ill at the hospital. There's no charge. Several of them make donations as they leave. But the Heart of the Community gave the house to Redmond several years ago. And then Redmond it's a land lease agreement. The house belongs to Redmond, to Heart of the Community, but Redmond is the manager. So we have a RN who works at the hospital who has an apartment there, and she's kind of the house mother, checking people in and out. And it's been a great ministry for us, and the people who have been able to take advantage of it have really been most appreciative.
So the house itself is on the Redmond campus, for lack of a better word?
It is. It's beyond what used to be the railroad track that leads from toward the west of the hospital.
Well, so what is your background? You were from Nashville originally, and you moved to Rome in the 70s to take a job at Redmond?
I'm from Memphis originally.
Oh, the birthplace of rock and roll.
Oh yeah, big time. and again, my age relates to that, being in that era as well.
Did you ever meet Elvis?
No, I did see him in person one time in Las Vegas for $10. It was a steak dinner. That was a long, long time ago, I assure you. I went to school in Mississippi, and then I majored in diet foods and nutrition and dietetics, and then I did a dietetic internship at Vanderbilt and worked there in the clinical area for quite some time, and then started working with the students, the other interns that were there. And the first administrator at Redmond approached me about a job in Rome. I thought he was approaching me so that I could share it with my students, that there might be a job available for them. But he said, no, he wanted me to come check it out, and I did. Kind of with great fear, because I'd never really been an administrative type person to run a program. So, it was a learning curve. But anyway, I always say I came with the brick, because I started on May 1st and the hospital opened July the 4th, 1972.
Wow. So you've worked at Redmond forever, and then you got attached to the Heart of the Community there when it started in the mid 80s. Obviously this has been a labor of love. What attracted you to be so involved in Heart of the Community?
Well, I guess it was the opportunity. Roger, I can't tell you how many new friends I've made in the last 15 years. And they're good friends, and I've learned from them and what they've done to the community. I was approached by our present administrator then, because the person who had been coordinating the program had resigned to take another position. And so I'm a detail-oriented kind of person. I feel like I'm pretty good at organizing stuff, and I have to stay busy. So I thought, well, this is an opportunity to maybe use those skills too. So it's been a real labor of love for me.
And Chris, how do you know Wanda?
Well, I had the pleasure of serving as what was the chair? Was that the name, Wanda? I can't remember what my title was.
You were the chair. Uh-huh.
Which meant that Wanda and I talked about anywhere between 9 and 15 times a day for a good 4 or 5 months. I mean, the one thing that and she's being modest because this is, 600 to 900 or 800 people in formal attire in a, in the arena downtown is a lot of work. I mean, and this is a formal sit down dinner with chandeliers, MC. It just takes a lot of work. So Wanda and the board, just literally it is a full-time job. But a lot of these folks that are the recipients are people that don't necessarily, they're what we call the unsung heroes because they don't get the recognition they deserve. And so this is an opportunity to say, hey, Rome and Floyd County, look at what this person has done for your community. And so it's an opportunity to celebrate them, let them bring their families. So it's just, it's been a great opportunity for me. And back to what Wanda said, I've made some great friends through it, Wanda being one of them. So it's just been a lot of fun.
Wanda, did you really, can you stand talking to him 10 to 15 times a day?
Well, it was challenging, but no, it was great. Chris was a great chair. You never know from year to year what you're getting with the chairman as well. So sometimes it's a little more challenging, but Chris was not challenging. He was not. Wow, he was very helpful.
I'm going to record that and put it on my LinkedIn.
Use it as your ringtone. So obviously you're talking about so is there this one major fundraiser every year primarily or celebratory event to honor your honorees? Is that correct? And is it coming up here at the end of the month? But this year it's going to be a little different.
It is. It is our opportunity to raise money that we can put back into the community. And I'll just share with you some of the projects that have been done over and above the house that we've just talked about.
Right.
We have exercise stations at Ridge Ferry Park that the Heart of the Community put in. We have a Serenity Garden in front of the hospital that the Heart of the Community built for families and patients. We have done the exercise equipment at the Thornton Center in Armurchie. We each year between the Heart of the Community and Redmond make $500 donations to our recipients' charity of choice. And then we have done in the past grants to different agencies. And whenever we were able to do this before, we gave away $51,000 in grants that year. So it is our fundraiser, and as you mentioned, it's very different this year because we can't bring 600 to 700 people into one room and do that. So we've had to be very creative in the way we've tried to put it together. So we're going to do Zoom. It's going to all be pre-recorded. For those who have participated with Heart of the Community over the years, Bob Berry will be one of our co-hosts along with Mary Hardin Thornton, who was one of our recipients in 2017. So they're going to kind of lead us through the program of presenting these recipients and put the different accomplishments that they've had in the community. And then we'll mention any corporate sponsors that we have, and we'll mention the charities that they have chosen to give their money to. And the only other two things that we have added to the program, or we're putting a little more emphasis on this year, is the silent auction. And we've got several items on that, and that's already posted on the the Heart of the Community Facebook page. We also have a Heart Walk on that Saturday morning, February the 27th, which will really be the only opportunity public gathering for people to come support these 7 recipients. We're going to have the Eco Center open. There'll be the exercise stations, the new playground that Parks and Rec has built. We're going to have Java Joy there. We'll be doing a presentation to the recipients. And I think it's just going to be a fun time. We did it in the snow last year. Who knows what we might be faced with this year, but we've learned to be pretty resilient, so we're hoping for the best.
So February 27th is the big event. Just to recap here, February 27th is the big event. You're doing your big event, what would be your dinner, via Zoom. but that morning there is a heart walk where people can actually gather as part of this day of events. Correct?
Correct. Uh-huh.
All right.
And the meal part of the event is we have some sponsorship options that will give people a meal for 10 people delivered to their home.
Oh.
We have some box options that people can sign up for that they can pick up, before the event. And all of that gives them the link. We'll give them the link to check into the event that evening at 7:30.
Now,
again, we've had to get very creative in how we've done that as well. So
now, since it's on Zoom, are people still required to dress formally? And do you provide the chandeliers?
We have no chandeliers, but I will tell you that Bob Berry is wearing a tuxedo, but Mary Hardin Thornton has her pajamas on. So we wanted everybody to feel comfortable regardless of what they had on. So that's our little take on dress code.
Well, it is interesting how you guys, this one of the things that intrigues me is the name Heart of the Community. And I touched on it earlier. It's both literal and figurative, because like the exercise stations, for example, you're walking through the park. Well, here you can stop and do a little workout and, heart health. But the Serenity Garden, that's peace of mind type thing. So that's one of the things that fascinates me about your organization. And then you take you seek to honor people in the community who are just doing volunteer service themselves.
Correct. And let me mention too, this is Heart Month. February is Heart Month, and this is Heart Week. And we are trying to encourage people to wear red on Friday. That's a national Wear Red program on this coming Friday. So it's a real, well, of course, being a heart hospital that we are, it's important that we emphasize that kind of education and support to heart-related activities.
Yes, ma'am. So, like, how many people do you normally have at your dinner when it's face to face?
We've had as many as 630 people.
Wow! And what are you expecting this year? Or do you know yet?
I have no clue.
Yeah,
I have no clue. We're beginning to get a few sponsors, a few corporate sponsors. The invitations have been out about 10 days, but our deadline is coming up in the next week or so, mainly because of the food situation, to make sure that they can cover whatever that need might be. So we have no clue. We're optimistic, but we don't know. It's so different. People are kind of, we were trying to encourage like watch parties where you could have a watch party for 10 people at your house. We have one that's kind of a fancy dinner. There's a brunch, pajama party. There's, just some different kinds of options. But again, not knowing what people will choose to do is the big mystery right now. So
right. Other than going virtual with this dinner fundraiser, has COVID affected the organization in other ways? And if so, how over the past year?
Not really, not the organization as such. We've been very fortunate to be able to continue to do our board meetings. We've been very careful about where we've done those. We've tried to be very careful about social distancing and all that, which again, we're going to be very careful about even at the Heart Walk. People think if you're outside, there's no problem, but we are the board has been charged with trying to make sure people comply with what's necessary, because the hospital nor the Heart of the Community wants news coverage the next week that everybody got COVID because they went to the Heart Walk. So we're just, again, it's a challenge, but we're up to the task. So.
And Chris, you mentioned you had been the chair before. What intrigued you most about the organization and getting involved with it?
Well, I knew some board members, folks that I had grown up with that, told me about the organization. And I just was so intrigued by the idea of, people, giving back to their community, but also to, the amount of money that goes back to these organizations around town. Being part of some of them, I know how important those grants are. How $3,000 or $5,000 can make or break certain programs. And as a chair, I was able to, or I was told by Wanda that I needed to go out and, go to the ribbon cutting or whatever it is. And the appreciation that you get from, the head of the YMCA or whatever organization, you really just feel good about the fact that you're part of a group that's giving back in such a meaningful way. So I've really enjoyed being part of it. And I'll be honest, like, it really is just a fun event. I mean, traditionally it's, a lot of people that you haven't seen in a long time. And you know how it is. Everybody gets dressed up. Things get a little more festive per se. And then there's an after party. People go out to the Heart of the Community sponsors a little after party. So it's traditionally a fun event. And I'm just glad that we're doing something this year just to remind people that we'll be back to normal next year and we'll be able to celebrate the recipients from this year next year as well. So.
Yeah, Wanda, how frustrating has it been, Wanda, to have to do it virtually this year?
Well, it's been more challenging. I've said over and over, I would rather feed 600 people any day than to kind of go through what we've had to go through, because we had to make sure all our bases were covered, that we were taking care of our recipients, that we were honoring them in a little less festive way, but that we were honoring them. And just kind of, my list had lists, and then I check things off, and then I make more lists. But we're in good shape. We have a great board, and it, as Chris mentioned, it's a working board. I mean, it's not just a board that goes on your resume and you never do anything. We have great members on our board, and they've been very supportive. And Redmond's been very supportive, all the way along too. So, do we have time to mention the 7 recipients for this year?
Yes, ma'am. You go ahead.
Okay. We have 7 recipients. The first one is Emily York. Emily has done a lot with RACA and has done programs with Young Life. And if you've seen the news recently, you know that they have posted the art pictures on the parking deck, which go up every February. She was instrumental in getting that program started years ago. The next one is Dr. Matt McLean. Dr. McLean is a radiologist, but he stepped out of that role a year or so ago when the COVID problem began, and did research, and he put together a board that studied plasma therapy. And he's worked with the blood assurance program here in Rome, doing convalescent plasma for treatment of COVID. Monica Shepard is known as the beekeeper. She's done a lot with that. She's done a lot with Chiaha and with the film festival that comes every year in Rome. Then we've got 2 gentlemen that are twins. This is our first time with twins. They're 78 years old, and they are Alan and Alfred Shropshire. They have a medical background. One majored in biology, one majored in chemistry in college, and they had even done work with Pfizer, which is a very popular name right now because of the vaccine.
Right.
But when they moved back to Rome, they got more involved with their churches, and they've worked a lot with Habitat, and they've worked with NAACP program. And in fact, Alan used to have a radio program with his wife on RGA called Food for Thought. That was years ago. Julie Smith, you would know if you've had anything to do with people on bike trails or walking trails. She's the executive director of TREAD.
Right.
And she's on the board of the Family Resource Center, as is Dr. McLean. And also, you can find her on Thursdays driving a bus for the YMCA out to a trailer park out in West Rome delivering food products. So she's been very involved with that. And then our last recipient, we're doing it as a posthumous award to Nell Reagan, who was known as the matriarch of mass media. had a program, a Talk of the Town for years on Q102, Q107. I can't remember which one. There's so many of them over there. I can't keep up with them. But anyway, she had done a lot, and I have, thanks to Keith Mickler, I have a picture of the strawberry cake that she made every year for the free clinic that she put in the silent auction, and it would bring as much as $500.
Wow.
She and Keith were competitors in that. Now, I don't know how much he got for his, but he did a cat litter cake. And I did see a picture of that. It wasn't quite as inviting as the strawberry cake.
I wouldn't think so.
Anyway, she's done a lot. She did a lot in Rome, and unfortunately, probably should have gotten this years before. And that brings me to the fact that, people have to nominate people. We don't go out looking for them. People have to nominate people. They have to list for us the kinds of things they've done and some of their background. And so that's where we start from in about August or September, asking for nominations for people for the next year.
Okay. Well, congratulations to all those honorees, and thank them for the work they do in the community. It's a very impressive list. The last couple of questions here for you, because we're having to go virtual this year with the event. Are we concerned at all about fundraising and hitting numbers like we've had in the past? Do we need to be soliciting other online donations and things like that to the organization?
Yes, we would. We have the Facebook page has the link to our website, which is a place where people can donate. And yes, we are concerned. And basically, we had to, until we can see what we do with this program this year, we had to put our grants on hold. And we often put AEDs in public agencies and public facilities as a safety measure. We've had several requests for those over the years, and we've had to put that on hold right now. We have a certain amount of money that we have to spend on maintenance at the Heart House every month. So it is important that we try to get as many people to donate as possible.
Okay.
And again, that can be through the website.
And the Facebook page is just Heart of the Community, or?
Yes, Heart of the Community.
Okay.
Facebook page. And the website is kind of long and drawn out. It's theheartofthecommunity.org.
Theheartofthecommunity.org. And there's information there about how people can donate money, how they can participate in the February 27th events, both the Heart Walk and the virtual dinner.
That's correct.
There's information about your history. There's information about the honorees. It's a one-stop shop.
It is. It is indeed. And we encourage people to do that and help us out if they can.
All righty. Chris, any final thoughts here?
Nope. We just appreciate the opportunity to chat again.
Well, Wanda, thank you so much. Your story is fascinating, and I will probably talk to you a little bit later on about your relationship with Elvis Presley.
Well, there is none. You don't have to call. There was. I did have a picture of him one time signing an autograph at the gate at Graceland that my mother took, but I gave it to an Elvis, somebody that was enamored with Elvis. I gave that to them for a gift, so I don't even have that anymore.
Oh, well, that's a great story. You had an Elvis story.
But I do. I am proud of the fact that he was from Memphis, and he did a lot of good stuff in Memphis too. So
yes, ma'am, and you're doing a lot of great stuff in Rome and Floyd County, and have for many, many years. So thank you for all that you do. Thank you.
Well,
thank you to the Heart of the Community, and thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, you have been listening to the Hardy Realty Show here on Rome Business Radio. For Chris Kerr at Hardy Realty, I'm Roger Manus. We've been broadcasting from the Hardy Realty Studios, and we work in cooperation with the Rome News Tribune. Thank you so much for listening.